right, here we go. More on the series of woods improvements. Right here is another fantastic looking white oak tree. Not much in the way of competition here, but this dogwood is growing a little too close for comfort here, and it is touching some of those limbs up there. So I want to cut down this dogwood, a very small tree. It's a minor change that you may not really think about, but in the future you're giving that oak tree, especially if it takes the canopy of this dogwood tree, an extra 10 feet of space to grow more nuts. That changes how the tree produces and really helps it. Now, there is one situation at this tree that I do not like seeing, and that is this cedar tree right here. And it is not dead. It's simply somewhat uprooted itself, and I'm going to cut that tree down and kill it, because I don't want that tree messing with this root base more than it already has. So this is another tree to get out of the way, and it would actually free up this other small oak tree right here a little bit, at least give it a slightly more favorable position to be in. Out this way, I'll start going back to some of the older trees here, because the loggers back in the day didn't want to risk dropping trees out in the road. So you're going to start finding some really old trees down through here. Once I start basically going off this hillside, this tree kind of marks the first of the old ones here. And this one is a great big hickory tree. Got a bunch of them around. There wasn't a market for hickories back in the day, and as far as I know, there's still not much of one now. But at some point, it'll come back around. All right, so here's another bigger oak tree, and this tree has tons of space. So your goal is to get trees with that size canopy or larger to produce. You got a much more expansive area. This tree right here could produce 100 times more nuts than any of those white oaks that I showed you back there that were bottled up or just now starting to free themselves of competition. And down here, there's a really big set of white oaks here. There's a twin. Remember, you're always looking for ways to improve. Now down here, there's a different situation. You see the cars going by there. I do not want to improve this part of the woods. Yes, there are monster oak trees in here, but I do not want to improve this because I don't want deer hanging around on this roadside. This is a situation where you do not improve. You only hope that a thicket can develop here, and try to push the deer up the ridge, or at least cross the road here as quick as possible. And that keeps fewer people from seeing your deer. So don't manage any areas here that could give your deer away. If you want to plant trees in here to put a screen in, you're more than welcome to do that to help fix that situation. So as far as woods improvements go, I don't want to be down this far. This is the limit of where I'm going to do any type of improving. So let's turn around and go back and look for other situations here. There's another nice oak right here. Most of the canopy's growing underneath where I'm standing, and it's a one-sided tree for the most part because of this other big oak. All right, so over here there is a very straight, or fairly straight tree. This ain't the one I was thinking of, but another very nice white oak right here. And guess what? The canopy's been choked off by this great big maple. Simple solution is to cut down the big maple, but I don't have permission to do that. So be aware that tree would be gone if I had the ability to do so. And this would free up this white oak to make itself a massive producer. So there goes somebody on a four-wheeler. Shouldn't be on there. Yeah, not supposed to be doing that. Oh well. And then over here, here's the straight one I was thinking of. is this one right here. If you was a logger looking for future lumber quality, this tree would be one of them. Extremely straight tree. Also choked out in the top. That top is very, very narrow. And as big as this tree is right here, I mean, you're looking at a tree that's already 60 plus feet, and the canopy is no wider than 18, 19 feet. That tree right here will never reach full production as long as these other trees are around it. If you have the ability to cut down whatever tree you want, both of these maples need to go. And then you could cut down this big forked maple right here, and you're going to free up tons of space for this oak tree, that oak tree right over here, and there was another one here that's, yeah, this young one right here that will help all those trees. And guess what? This expansive area will have thousands and thousands of nuts, because of what you do now will affect the future of your deer. So each generation, you know, barring good years and bad years, you know, on the oak cycle, in general, you've got a nice sloping line going up, up, up with the amount of food in here. And your deer will start upgrading their bodies with that source of food increasing. All right, let's see here. I'm not going to cross the road bed because I want to do another segment. I'm breaking this down into sections, and I'm doing as much evaluation in one side as possible here. Not healthy trees, cut those down. Ugly growth at the base, remove them. Rotten in the base, cut it down. This oak, I would cut it down. It's not very healthy, it's not growing straight. The top's all warped. Not a good tree to keep. Good tree to have right here. And guess what? It's got major problems with any future. This tree probably won't do well. There is still a very high risk that this oak will die due to lack of sunlight. And the only thing I really can do for this tree is cut this guy down. And once I do that, that'll help it out a little bit, but not much. At least I can give it a chance. Remember, I'm on limitations on what I can and cannot cut. All right, up here, there is not much happening here. This is a voided area of oak trees. So here would be a no food situation, and they would have to go somewhere else to find it. I mean, I've got this little guy, but that ain't enough good nutrition to do jack squat. Got some really big pines right here. Things about the same size all the way up to the first limb, in the neighborhood of 80 feet or so. These were left over. The loggers didn't want them, and guess what happened? The space got cleared out around them and they got fat. Same thing, same concept for oak trees. Clear the space out. Still zero oaks. There's a dead white oak right there. Not doing me any good. We got a small beech tree right here. Not doing any good. And then there should be a little bit of a pickup up here of oak somewhere. So I've just walked through a whole zone where there is no food here. Waste of time for me as far as if that's going to help my deer or not. The answer is no. It provides some bedding maybe. White oak right here. And really not all that much in the way until you get up another 20-25 feet, and then it's going to run into another major problem. But I can buy this tree even more time by simply removing this one right here. And unfortunately it's leaning right into this tree, but all I got to do is cut one tree and I can change a bunch of them. Right here's another oak that will free up this oak tree right here more. See how it's slanted right into it somewhat. Another oak tree right here, growing a lot better because we got rid of all these sassafrasses that were right here. There was a whole cluster of them. Dead dogwood that was here. We removed, I want to say these right here were removed about 6 years ago, maybe 7. And that was before I did this group, and it opened up a nice hole right here. And now this tree has been growing a lot better ever since we've done that. It's not growing to monstrous rates yet, but it is improved, and this will give this tree a much better opportunity down the road here to make something of itself. Other trees in here that are just no good, there's a lot of sassafrasses in here, some sweet gums, you name it. There's some junk trees in here. Good stuff to have right here. That helps. All right, so I'm going to stop here, and we're going to work on the next part.